All right, everyone. We are going to call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the August 29th, 2019 National Western Center Citizens Advisory Committee. We are going to go around and do introductions. I will start. My name is Zachary Sanfilippo. I am with CRL Associates.
Paul Andrews, CEO of the National Western Stock Show.
Liz Adams, Deputy to the CEO of the National Western Center Authority.
John Safkian, Globeville.
Slavica Fox with Focus Points.
Susan Aldretti with Councilwoman Ortega's office.
Lloyd Burgess, property owner of Red Boulevard.
Marissa Ordialis with Family Environmental.
Mickey Zeppelin, Taxi and Rhino.
Ann Elizabeth Global.
Liliana Flores Amaro, representing Swansea, as well alongside John from the National Western Authority Board.
Hi, Kayla Birdsong with the Grow House.
Hi, I'm Beth Conover, in spite of my name tag. I'm here representing CSU.
Mi nombre es Juan Veloz, el cual represento Iris Swansea.
My name is Juan Veloz, and I represent the Leary and Swansea.
Carrie Atia with Visit Denver. Tina Martinez, Denver Museum of Nature and Science.
Armando Payan, Globeville.
Perfect timing.
Great time.
Terrence Carroll, Terrence Carroll.
I think you're right
You're
here.
right there, Karen.
Heather Hawkins.
Nope,
with
that's Zach.
Architects.
You must be right there.
Joe McIntyre with Nova Architect.
Joe Ostler with the Wills Partnership.
I'm Holton Brown with National Western Stock Show.
Hi, Matt Barrett, with National Western Center Authority.
Andrea Burns with the National Western Center Authority. Grace Hanover with the National Western Center Authority.
Brett Pikelson, Corral Creek Consultants.
Jocelyn Robinson, Workforce Development Coordinator for the HIT project.
Awesome. I think that is everyone.
And Ann Hayes with Westfield.
Thank you all for starting without me. I really appreciate that. I was having dinner with my sister, and older sisters can be quite demanding if any of you have an older sibling. Maria will not be here tonight. Her mother's having a health issue, and so Maria is dealing with her mother's health issue tonight. And so she'll be here next month. So, aren't we? Yeah, we're meeting next month. Yeah. It's September, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I thought someone said next month. I'm like, yeah, we're meeting next month. So we're going to do partner updates. We have partner updates. I don't see them on here. Thank you. We'll start with the iconic Paul Andrews, the President and CEO of the National Western Stock Show.
Yes, I think everything's in your packet, and probably I'm going to give you all a little update on the Denver Scholarship Program, but I can see we've preloaded the Legacy Building, and that's not me, although it is me. It's not me tonight. So I will wait on my report until my slides are up there, which I'm sure is after the Legacy Building.
Thank you. CSU.
Hi.
You don't look like Jocelyn.
No, I'm not.
Thanks. I'm Beth Conover. I'm here to represent the Salazar Center for North American Conservation, which will be based at the new campus.
Which Salazar, Ken or, okay.
So our advisory board is chaired by Tony Frank and Ken Salazar, and a couple of years ago they agreed to create this center, which I started as the first director of last October. We're going to have our first annual symposium this fall on September 24th. I have a bunch of brochures if folks are interested, but we're focusing both on urban conservation and access to green space and on landscape connectivity from Canada to Mexico. So there's a lot of content there, as well as on a more diverse constituency for related issues, healthy land, healthy water, healthy air. We have partners, local, national, and international. And one of our partners is the River Sisters Project. And I know AE has an update about the festival.
I got a question for you.
Well, Marno has a question, so we'll skip over to him real quick.
Yeah, I got a question. Any updates on the CU-CSU game?
CSU by 10. I have to say that because they're a partner and the CU is not. So we're calling it for CSU. Anybody from, AE, I'm sorry.
This kind of segues with...
By the way, nice t-shirt, AE.
Oh, thank you. I'm getting a lot of hugs from Rusty Perry all over the city. I'm keeping it on for 6 months, you guys. I'm not.
Please
That is
don't.
the best. Sorry, I didn't hear that, but I'll listen.
I said please don't.
I won't. But I watch it every 3 days. I'm gonna, at the most, depending on what kind of smoke I walk through, you know what I mean? So, yeah, now everybody's gonna have a story to get about. Go ahead.
Okay, let's
There's
move
a lot
on.
of them. Go ahead and pass those down, would you? I just want, thanks for that. That was fun. Okay, so building on the River Sisters, learn about that. There's people that can talk, but we have an incredible thing thanks to the partnering of CSU's Access program, which people can learn about. It's really breaking some cycles with first-generation students getting to college and mentoring, and with some nonprofit groups like El Laboratorio, Lincoln Hills Cares, JF STEM. These are great STEM and STEAM mentoring groups doing a Youth River Festival at our newly named Heron Pond, Heller, Carpio Sanguinetti Park up here. You go down off Franklin. You know where Heron Pond is, folks. But anyway, we are very pleased to tell you that we have over 3,000 of these on the doors in Globeville, Leary, and Swansea, and have been going to events. And there's going to be some email blasts going out here in the next couple days with a link to a map to help everybody get there. And the National Western Center Authority and National Western Center Office are helping with this with a few things, but one of which is Marcy from the Nuke office delivered that big thing which will be unveiled, which we can look at. That shows the connectivity that's coming to this park, both with the bridges across the river and as we upgrade Washington Avenue. So my hope is that people will help people get up to this park Saturday, I keep saying tomorrow, Saturday.
Tomorrow's Friday.
Thank you, Saturday, thank you. Saturday from 9 to 2. For those that get there a little bit before 9 that want to work on the restoration project that's going to do some beautification, there's an offer of a brochure that has about $600 worth of tickets, including a ticket where you can take 5 to the Denver Museum of Nature and Science and to Botanic Gardens. It's really great. And for people that have kids, we have a free bouncy castle. We have those hamster balls for the adults, no, the kids. They never let me on, too big. But then we have please take note of this special explanation from CSU about the mission of this. This has to do with the science education. It's going to be so much fun for those that have little kids. Just to give you an example, they're going to do, this is the second year for this, so it's developing into what could potentially be a precursor to the River Festival annually when CSU gets its spectacular water resources building up on the campus. And this is centered with youth mentoring, and the youth are leading this, so the adults are kind of doing everything we can to help. You know, and so this is a real life thing. This is what I love is the potential of this project. And so, but the last thing is I want to say, as an example of the science, there's going to be a repeat of an interactive last year where the little kids will be able to take 2 colors of marshmallows and toothpicks and make H2O molecules. I mean, how much better can it get than that? So, but they're going to be all levels, college students and high school students doing interactives. And Mo Better Greens is bringing, Beverly Grant's bringing her farmer's market. We're going to have some food. So just come up, have fun, and there's a DJ, et cetera, et cetera. This is a breakout event for putting this park on the map and helping people get oriented and connecting this beautiful place to the National Western Center, the neighborhood, on the Globeville side and Leary and Swansea on the other side. It can be a real unifying orientation thing. So hope you come out and play.
Thank you. And you've all heard about the Salazar Center. I'd like to announce a new center that I'm doing with CSU. It's called the Carroll Center for Brothers in the West. It's all Brothers in the West? It's all Brothers in the West. I mean, why not? I'm going to move today, so just bear with me. History Colorado, is there a report from History Colorado other than what's in the packet? Okay, let's move on to the Denver Museum of Nature Science. Tina, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Just one addition that's not on there. We have, we're getting ready for the school year, and we have an educators night coming up on September 23rd. It's free for all educators, administrators, informal education, after school providers, and it's a fun night just to honor the teachers and the people that are educating our students. More than 80 SCFD organizations will be there. And it's food and drinks and IMAX movies, and everything's open to the educators that night. So please spread the word.
Thank you very much. We're going to skip the National Western Center Authority because they have their own report coming up. Authority board members, John and or Liliana. If someone can get someone a microphone.
I don't have anything particular to report on, John, if you want to either comment or wait till the official authority board.
Well, I'm still trying to play catch up. So actually we met this morning and kind of same thing. They're giving a lot of information. I thought Brad would be here, elaborate a little more on it. But
He'll be. He's on the agenda for later,
yeah.
So he'll be here.
So I would just like to have him give a complete synopsis of what we did this morning.
Oh, and Liz is here.
Okay.
But Liz is actually on the agenda as Brad.
Okay.
Because Brad just had a birthday this week, so I think he's off birthday celebrating.
Well, we'll let Liz fill everybody in on that.
Excellent. Yep,
Oh, but she's not up yet, so.
Yeah, because you're going to do the legacy building first.
Okay, legacy. Let's do it.
So Liliana, you're passing? Liliana?
Yeah.
Are you passing? Okay. Legacy building, Joe Ostermeyer. Is that how I pronounce the name?
And Kai Holton Brown.
And Kai Holton Brown.
Yes.
You want, yeah, there you go. You need to turn it on there, Zach.
This is actually a building I'm very excited about because I'm in discussions with Angela Laurent to have my own bar seat. Because as a board member of the National Western, I had to make a contribution. So I'm trying to make my contribution go to the Terrence Carroll Bar Stool.
I like
Are you
that.
sure you can, you know, up that contribution, we can get you a bar?
I'm actually thinking about a bar top. The Terrence Carroll bar top. My mother would be so proud of me.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Many of you may have seen our initial presentation a few months ago, a number of months ago. We're here to give you an update. My name is Kai. I work for Paul Andrews on basically anything construction for National Western Stock Show. This is one hat I wear, which is to oversee the legacy building. And I guess quick background, 2-3 years ago, the board of directors decided they wanted a headquarters building for the Western Stock Show Association, and we went through programming, and as a result of that, said, hey, we need a building that will handle a new National Western Club, and it needs to be bigger and hold 600 plus people. New offices for the Stock Show staff, new boardroom, new conference space. We needed a place for the art that the Stock Show Association owns and room for that art collection to grow. And we wanted it on the ground floor. This is all the stuff I was hearing. We want this, 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 and this. A heritage center to share and exhibit historical exhibits, as well as great gathering spaces and meeting spaces. All of this in one big multi-use building. And so we handed it over to Tribe Architects after going through a selection process and said, can you guys get all this into one big, beautiful building for us? And so I'm going to hand it off to them and let them show us what they did and how they accomplished it.
This one working okay? You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thanks. I'm John McIntyre, Principal with Tribe Architects, and I've presented the earlier concept presentation at this committee a few months ago, as Kai mentioned. And what you're going to see tonight, if you were at that presentation, you'll see some of the same material, as well as some updates of the material as we presented it to Saddle recently for our design review. The direction of the building and where we're at in terms of the design process, we're at a concept design and visioning process. Our next step will be a move into schematic design. So there will be some design development that happens through that process, and I want to update you on a few of the changes that have happened within the building. The other critical point to make, I think, as we come to this meeting is that we come to this meeting with a much, much higher degree of budget certainty around the building. We've spent a significant amount of time understanding the costs and estimates around the building, and we're very confident that we can deliver the building that we're going to present to you tonight for the budget that the team has. So it's been a fun process, and I'll take you through those updates quickly. Just in terms of location, let's see if I can get a pointer working on here. The building is sited opposite the historic livestock exchange. That's probably the most useful point of reference for everybody on the site. We're very excited about the master plan direction and the kind of cluster of programs with CSU that are now happening around this kind of main intersection on Betty Karam Drive at the southern end of the site. So the legacy building is this building here outlined in orange. It sits adjacent to the livestock arena in relationship to the historic livestock exchange building, and with the 3 CSU buildings around it, forming a kind of a really strong intersection on Betty Karam Drive. The renderings that we're going to present have not been updated, so for the current master plan site context, the exterior renderings, these will be updated as part of our next round of design, but they reflect very much still the design of the building. What will be updated is the location of it in terms of the buildings that surround it, bringing in the CSU buildings as the designs emerge. So the building will be a new home for the Western Stock Show Association, and really a gateway building into the National Western Complex. It's designed as a building that has continuity with the past, reflects a connection, tradition, and history, but is also forward-looking in its programming and in its expression. It's a series of stepped outdoor spaces that climb up through the building. You can see a number of terraces at various elevations, including this major western terrace, which projects out towards the Rockies and the view. There's a large glazed entry space, a porch, if you like, for the building at that lower level, and I'll show you the programming for that as we come into the ground floor plans. And there's a large cascading stair that starts in that lobby and moves up this front facade of the building. I'll show you the uses as they stack up through the 4-story structure. This is a view looking at the approach to the building. You can see it's a building that has a Western materiality. We're looking at Corten steel, concrete, and wood for the building. Glass as well in terms of bringing light into the office spaces. So very contemporary, flexible office spaces, but with this real connection to a kind of a lineage of past, stone chimneys, overhanging porches, and eaves. You can see the kind of gateway that we're talking about here. So the CSU building will actually, animal health, will be on the left-hand side of this image. And this is taken from the left, just here is the historic livestock exchange, the edge of that building. And on the left of us will be the CSU Center. There's a number of design principles that are driving that. I don't want to go through them all, but I'll give you a synopsis. The idea of this really creative mix of uses within the building, cross-pollination of those uses, and really trying to look to the future in terms of really ensuring that we have this mix of heritage display, art, events, hospitality and welcome, the ability for a large group of people to get together at the upper floors in terms of the hospitality space, exhibition space for programmings, educational uses that wrap into the building as well. So it's a really unique and interesting mix of art, education, Western culture, workplace, and event. There's a real sense of hospitality that's driving what we're trying to do here. It's about welcome and warmth, bringing people into the space, having a number of spaces for hospitality throughout that can function during stock show. A lot of work on connections to views, connections to the exterior, the sense of gateway, and this idea of exploration and play, these stairs that allow people to occupy the building and climb up through it. In terms of the site plan, you can see this zone in here is the legacy building proper. I'll go through the uses of the ground plan briefly here, and then again on the site plan. The livestock arena, just here, which the building forms one facade of. It sort of forms the edge of the livestock arena. Livestock exchange building, CSU Center, CSU Water, and the CSU Animal Health Center over here. The primary entry off Grand Plaza, a secondary entry now off Betty Cram. There is a proposed site for an armed forces monument to happen to the south of the building within this wedge-shaped site that we're showing here. The yellow represents the entrance lobby, this kind of cascading stair that we discussed. And then the programming has the National Western Art Collection in this blue volume against the street edge. Oh, sorry. The Heritage Gallery, a retail space, which we're still working on the exact programming of, a service core, and some parking off the rear with some additional parking and service access from the yard to the east. And then Grand Plaza, these are the structure landing on the plaza and the entry through into the arena on this corner. We talked a little bit about the materials. We're looking at a combination of Corten steel, wood, glass, concrete, very natural materials. One of the comments that came through from Saddle was looking at the integration of some stone into the base of the building, which we're interested in investigating in the next design phase. And really this high level of transparency at the front of the building for the lobby on Betty Cram. In terms of the section, there's been a slight change from the last time this was presented. The club level is still the upper level. We're looking at engaging that with the livestock arena with views out. There's a level of office below that. Exhibition and office were in a slightly different configuration last time we looked at it, but the exhibition is designed to link into the concourse level of the livestock arena adjacent, so people can move internally from the livestock arena onto that exhibition floor, the gallery, and then parking in the rear. So the ground floor uses we've been through. I'll just move up through the building. This gives you a sense of the lobby space. So again, the sense of hospitality, a large fireplace at the end. On the left, you're seeing the reception, and then the Wild Family Heritage Center. Fundraising has been going well, so some of the naming opportunities are already in place for some of these spaces since we last spoke. A large fireplace, art integrated in the cascading stair on the right. You're looking back to the elevator cores and the heritage and the art gallery on the left. So this is a view into that Heritage Center, reception on the left, the Heritage Center, and then wrapping around to the retail on the far left. Elevators moving up on the right. Above this level we have the exhibition floor, which has a conferencing and meeting center on the left, a large lobby and pre-function space. The arrows represent the connections to the arena concourse, and then this rotating exhibition space. Moving up again we have the office level for the Western Stock Show Association. So that takes out this entire floor with their own terrace on this end and connection to the conferencing below. And then as we get up to the top floor, we're on the hospitality floor. So this has the National Western Club. In this major volume here, there's a Western Lounge opening out onto a Western Terrace, which is the terrace we saw in that initial view, which has some exterior fire pits. There's those bars that Kai was talking about, 1, 2, 3 at that upper floor. Number of fireplaces at the end, and opportunities for a really large 600 plus gathering in that space. So that's a sense of that upper floor, which is a heavy wood structured space with these large fireplace elements at each end. On the left you're seeing the windows that would look out into the arena. This is a view on the Western Terrace looking out to the view. So this will look across the top of the Animal Health building by CSU in the foreground. One of the fire pits on the left. We're at an exciting stage in terms of the fundraising, and we're looking a lot currently at opportunities for integrating materials and elements from the historic yards into the building. So opportunities for donors with the brick, opportunities for using recycled wood through the place, and looking at opportunities for elements like this Wall of Brands concept. Talk about the members of the Stock Show Association and how they might be engaged in the building at a very detailed level. And that's sort of where we're at. Hopefully that's a good synopsis.
Any questions? Mickey, hold up for the mic. Mickey, please hold up for the microphone and get to you.
first meeting several months ago.
Yeah.
We're looking for something more iconic. This is a $1 billion project, and the building's very nice, and I appreciate the functionality, but it's not anything that really is going to be outstanding as an architectural piece. I think at that time, the building was pretty much the same. You said that you're still working on elevations and something to bring it to that iconic stage. Is anything happening?
Well, we haven't launched into the next round of design yet, technically. Our schematic design will start next year. But we actually think the building is a really strong representation of Western materiality, a balancing of connection to past and future, and there's been a great level of general support for the design. I appreciate your concept because I think there is a balance around this idea of what represents a kind of an iconic sense of Western heritage on the site. And we will continue to evolve the design. Our design review has been positive to date. I think that most of the comments have really been to do with the ground plane and connecting a little bit more strongly and activating at those lower floors. But we believe the building wants to have a timeless sensibility about it. We want it to be an icon and a true sense, a sense of longevity, and balance the sense of both historic continuity and future vision. We think the building is doing that. We'll continue to evolve the design as we move through schematic design and into developed design. There's a lot of time left in the process, but it's been received very well, and we're confident that the design will stand the test of time.
Unfortunately, your comments that in terms of it being acceptable is pretty much what all the multifamily developers are saying. It's a nice building, it's great materials, and it fits in with the city. I was hoping for something more out of the National West.
I guess maybe to repeat, from a few months ago, we are in the fundraising stage of this whole project. We're still at 5% design. That being said, we did take some alternative looks and thoughts to the board. And the Stock Show Association board really wanted to stay with this original concept. So we're going to keep moving forward with that at this point in time. But like John said, we've got a lot of design progress to go yet, a lot of design input from the authority and saddle committee to go yet. So thank you.
Armando.
I echoed Nikki's sentiments the last time we spoke. Again, sure, it's the board. They're not thinking outside the box, futuristic. What's iconic? What makes this building so cool? So I come from Oklahoma. Where's the wow? I don't see a wow feature in here. It's cool and I applaud what you're doing, but I don't see nothing outside the box. You're nothing really to get somebody excited to really want to come back again, to make it interactive, to walk into the building. What's so cool about it? Fireplace. Like I told you last time, this reminds me of a place up in Breckenridge at a lodge. I think go back to the board and say my comments, and that echoes Mickey's sentiments, is that again, it needs to be something creative, innovative, forward-thinking, some vision, some foresight, something really cool to create an ambience that you haven't experienced this before, and also more importantly, you need to create a building where it's interchangeable. At the University of Colorado, they have floors that turn around in 360. Something cool. So when you come, you experience this building, you experience something different every time you come. It's like Disneyland. You go to Disneyland, you see, you're experiencing a wow feature. To me, this doesn't create that ambience, and that's just food for thought. And I've been here all my life, and it's still the same thing. And I'm just like Mickey. I'm looking for something more better, and this is why we're here, to make it super cool, make it iconic, and share a wonderful experience. The museum comes in, puts up some artwork, they turn the building around, or a wall, you got some new flash art, and you do it in seconds. And everything's done in real time. So that's all I'm looking for. But if you can't do it, you can't do it. But I think we're not making any progress from my perspective. But thank you.
I appreciate the comments, and I think the idea of the overlay of technology and experience is a big part of what we're thinking through on the building, and we'll be definitely integrated into it, and we hope that we can come back and convince you as we move forward.
AE.
There's probably a little bit of echo in everything that I just heard and what I'm about to say. The convincing us as we move forward. I really feel like you have given us the hope that iterative renderings and conversations can happen. And I want to kind of reassure the group and ask for a further commitment to that, because I would find it very difficult, because I don't know, I'm not an architect, etc., how this legacy building that is the stock show legacy brings in the modern, forward-looking future and the mandate, which I think it is a mandate for flexibility that's written into the National Western Center master plan, hope for really diverse use and that kind of thing. But I think as you go forward, what would be really great is if the functioning can be demonstrated in a way that shows what the depth of the legacy, the depth and concept is of the legacy, and then how that's being perceived and how it strengthens the programming bridge to the rest of the campus. And because you can have an ongoing reflection that kind of updates everybody who comes to the legacy building as to what this whole campus is and what's transpiring. And that's what I'm concerned about, is that it's part of the organism of the campus. Some of that is content, but some of it has to be built in so that you have that flexibility. And anything you can reveal in that direction, I think, would be helpful. And then lastly, just kind of an ongoing concern I have is how all of the art in public places and how we tell the story of the national, the West and what preceded the colonies, etc., is told with an interrelatedness and continuum across the whole campus. So are you engaged in that process as well?
I can answer that in two ways. One, we've had a lot of conversations with CSU about their buildings and their programming, and then our building and our programming and where the two intersect, especially related to educational programming, because they want to look at the entire campus. They are looking at the entire campus as their classroom, and what can our building provide? Can we do things in the art room, in the Heritage Center, to support that for the students coming through? The whole ground floor is geared towards people coming through. We want that to be very public. And so having that in the mix is very important. As far as integration with CSU, with NUCO on their site design, our design team is already meeting on a regular basis with the site design team, looking at Betty Cram Drive and how our building interfaces with that, how our building interfaces with the plaza, making sure that all of that is working together as a whole. And the goal really is, and Brad Buchanan is really helping drive this, that we call it First and Main, where the 3 CSU buildings are, the Livestock Exchange building and the Legacy building are, that they all work as a whole, and when you get there, you know you arrived somewhere special, and that it really works together. The plazas are going to be seamless. It's not going to be 5 little buildings, it's going to be one area and one district within it. And so that's really our goals, and we're going to keep our whole team plugged in. Joe Osmeyer, wanted to introduce him. He's our project manager from the Wells Partnership, and he is running point on all of the details. He's working on all of the site coordination, and we'll be managing Tribe as we move forward on the design and construction of this project. Thanks.
It might also be worth noting that as we move into schematic design next year, obviously there'll be more rounds of review, there'll be more material coming that we can review with you, and so we'll be really able to produce new materials to have continue these discussions. So there'll be more to come.
Are there any, Armando?
Just one last quick comment. What would you just describe to me, the way I see this, there's 2 missions here. Colorado State University is academia, research, feed the world. National Western Stock Show, agriculture and livestock. You talk about a Main Street where they both come together and they mesh, and then they flourish. Can you give us a taste of what your envision or what your foresight might be? Because there's to me, there's 2 distinct missions. One is obviously agriculture, again, agriculture and livestock. How are we going to get people to come and experience this from all over the world? Not just the people in the Front Range here locally in the state of Colorado. I'm talking about all over the world. Then you have academia, research at Colorado State University, which is a great campus, don't get me wrong about that part. But then when you come to the Main Street, what you're describing here, and then it's supposed to flourish and all come together. Can you shed, anyone of you shed some light on that vision, of course, that what you see happening there?
Yeah. Liz is going to answer the question.
Yeah. Armando, I'm happy to get into that a little bit, and it's kind of part of what our report is. But the role of the authority with Brad as the CEO, and as you've heard him speak very passionately about the mission and vision of this campus, is to be the glue to bring all of that together. And we're going to talk a little bit about the programming pieces tonight. Grace and Andrew are going to make a presentation. But this is about, you're exactly right, it's taking the academic and research piece, it's combining it with the National Western piece, it's finding the pieces that they're not doing, and developing the programming. And it's not only the place, the programs, but it's also the place and how to make all of that fit together. So know that is what we are doing now. We know the paths for the buildings. We know the design is more set for some of the other buildings. They're still working on their design. CSU buildings are much further along in their design process, and they're going to be coming out of the ground in the next couple of years. And so we are now at a really, really critical point of having our buildings become this amazing place. And so that's what we're working on. And I think you'll get some of that from what Grace is going to say tonight, and then some of the stuff that we're talking about is the authority board.
Thank you.
Okay?
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll move on to Liz, National Western Center Authority. Update.
Thanks. John and Liliana passed, but we did have our board meeting today. John and Liliana were both there participating. Kind of the highlights from the board meeting were that we did have the same presentation that you're about to get from Grace and Andrea from our staff about the strategic implementation plan, and specifically the items in the plan related to programming. I just want to make it clear, because I think we often forget it, because it can be kind of it's not boring, it's actually really exciting, but we don't talk about it a lot. Our strategic implementation plan also includes how are we going to operate and maintain this campus, which is really critical, right? We're getting all of these new buildings, and it is the job of the authority not only to program what's happening and be that glue for the other groups, and bring everybody together as the National Western Center, but also to make sure that we take care of the buildings and we operate them to the best of our ability. So the other thing we talked about at the meeting today is something that's really exciting, and I know we've done presentations on it. I think we're going to try to have the campus energy folks come back and do a more formal presentation about the campus energy agreement as soon as we're through some negotiations with them, because I know we've made that promise to engage the community as we're moving forward with this. But as you recall, the campus energy process is that we're going to build a campus utility, like a main utility plant. We're going to do heat recovery from the Delgany interceptors. As you know, we're moving the Delgany interceptors up underground, and then we'll do heat recovery, and we'll do heat and air conditioning for the entire campus. We'll have a loop that will take care of the entire campus. That right now is in a negotiation between the authority and EAS, the provider of this system, and that's a business negotiation, and when that is finished, we'll come back to you guys and talk more about what the system means and engage you in that process. We're also talking with Excel about the campus being a community resiliency center, which is basically when there is a big natural disaster, if there's a huge power outage, there need to be places where people can come, and animals in this case, because we'll have space for animals as well, for people to come and have a safe place to be, which involves having backup energy. We're hoping to access state-of-the-art energy process with that, and so we'll also be bringing that to talk to you more about. The other things the authority's been working on, as we've had reference tonight, is that the saddle has been meeting. That's the design review committee. They reviewed the Betty Cram Drive design, talking about how to make that. That's the main street that comes into the main plaza, and we want to make sure that all the amenities along Betty Cram Drive are inviting and create the environment that we're hoping to have on campus. So we've done that. We've done the Legacy Building, the CSU Food Center, the Equestrian Center. All those have come before Saddle this month, and that is a group that is based in people. There are a couple of architects. Brad is on the committee. He is also an architect. So it's really an evaluation of the building designs, and they do it in phases. Let's see, what else do we have? Just a few of the quick events that we've participated in the community. We did the playground building at Focus Points, which was fantastic. We were at Latin Fest. John Zappien and I were at the Army Corps of Engineer event that was at Shoemaker Plaza, where we were talking, there's an additional project. Not only are we going to do great things along the river, the Army Corps of Engineers were finally coming to fruition with this project, and there will be some matching funds that are involved, and we're going to, it's not just around the National Western Center, but also other places as well. So we attended that event with a lot of different people. I went down to Rustlers at the State Fair just to reach out a little bit and participate in the state community event around, we were at the Junior Livestock Auction down there this week. We've been to the Grow House Block Party. They had a great pop-up the other day, and I stopped by that. So we're trying to get out and about, and we hope you'll, we have the Riverfest this weekend, as AE discussed as well. So as we're moving forward, we're in this, we keep talking about our strategic implementation plan, and it has been a long process. We just completed 15 meetings this summer. Grace is going to talk a little bit more about that. But we are now, we're coming to the end. We're drafting the plan, we're drafting our objectives, and that plan will go to an executive session of the National Western Center Authority Board next month. We're going to have an additional session with them to really get into the meat of it and finalize a lot of that document. And then, of course, we have to have a budget that goes along with that document. So for the authority, the next few months is about setting the stage for what we're going to do in the next few years as the buildings are coming out of the ground and we're preparing to program, maintain, and operate the campus. So we're looking forward to all of that. And now I think what we'll do is get Grace, and I think Andrea also will join us. We have Grace Hanover and Andrea Burns from the authority staff. They're going to share with you kind of a summary of what happened with the programming items as part of the SIP, and then we'll be available for your questions.
Thank you, Liz. I'm Grace. I lead special projects with the National Western Center Authority, which functionally means I work on programming and partnership. So imagining who are the amazing community organizations, businesses, individuals that we are going to collaborate with in order to activate the campus 365 days a year. I am excited to share 3 topics with you all tonight. We're going to talk about a summary of our focus area team process from the summer. I'm going to introduce you to our programming initiatives, just how we're organizing our thinking about activities on the campus between now and 2024. And then I'm also excited to give you guys a taste of some of the feedback we received in our focus area team process about community engagement ongoing. So what does it look like for those who've been our early adopters, our champions, you all, others, to stay involved in programming, guidance, and decision-making moving forward. So this is a big picture overview of the participatory process we have been undertaking over the last 6 months. We have been co-designing with community members. We opened up the funnel wide, we made connections between ideas, all to arrive at a strategy that we feel like is both community-driven, but also supported by additional research. So in April, we had our Cultivate campaign. This was an open call for ideas. We received 267 ideas. We took those and we organized them into 5 different themes, which we presented at a big thinking offsite we called the Summit. Between June and August, we hosted what we called our Summer of Strategy. So this was a series of 15 open meetings to invite people in to help us take the ideas from the Cultivate campaign, get used to them, combine them, improve them, refine them, so that what we came out with was a set of 27 programming recommendations that came from the 132 participants in our summer process. So moving forward, we are hosting alignment meetings with all of our core programming partners. We had an excellent kickoff meeting with CSU's team to make sure that we as the authority are serving in our role as the glue that holds the campus both as a physical place and also as a set of programs and activities together. And then all of these will be rolled into our 4 initiatives, which we're presenting as a part of our strategic implementation plan in September. So, speaking of initiatives, this is our new way of thinking about and talking about the programming work that will be happening on campus. These evolved out of the focus areas. So though they have a new name, they aren't a totally different kind of beast, if you will. They include all 27 programming recommendations that we received from our participatory process this summer. And what we've done is we've sort of laid out those recommendations in time between now and 2024. So we're thinking about what are opportunities to get started quickly, to take advantage of some low-hanging fruit and pop up some programming right away. We're thinking about what are some of the concepts that are maybe a heavier lift and are going to take more time to build an audience and build readiness to bring that to the campus. In some cases, that involves thinking about where we have digital opportunities to offer programming. And then also, some of our concepts are reliant on physical buildings, and we don't yet have those. So we're thinking about all of these things so that we can get moving, because goodness knows we are eager to. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we are building out our plan responsibly and conscious of the resources that we have to bear at any given moment. So this is just a taster of one of our 4 initiatives. This we're calling Experience to Impact. It grew out of our entertainment and experiences focus area. The idea is that we can use cultural programming, play spaces like the riverfront, events like concerts, to create a gateway for the general public to be exposed to, understand, and come to embrace our mission around convening the world in support of global food solutions. One other element of this that isn't represented on the slide here, but that Matt and I are really excited to get started, ideally in 2020, is thinking about how we can also provide a mission-focused overlay onto existing events happening at the National Western Complex. So thinking about if we have an RV show, for instance, how can we introduce people who are coming to that show for one reason to a little bit of our mission? So this might look like tiny, healthy cooking classes inside your RV kitchen. Who knows? So we've got some creative juices flowing to try and think about how we can connect people through experiences on the campus to impact and to global food solutions, even if that's not why they came in our door. Andrea is going to talk a little bit about what this looks like in 2020, both in terms of growing an audience and growing awareness.
So part of our, I'm Andrea Burns, I'm with the National Western Center Authority in Marketing. Part of our responsibilities as the National Western Center Authority, in addition to operate, maintain, and program the campus, is also to market and promote the campus as an experience. And so we're looking at programming and marketing as being 2 sides of the same coin, and we know that we need to, while it's premature for us to tell the entire general public, that there's a call to action, and that is come to the National Western Center. We do want to start reaching out to target audiences very specifically to start growing an audience so that when we do open our doors, there will be demand already built up for people to come rushing into those doors. So first we've been talking about identifying some specific target audiences for the short term that we can grow over time. The first one of those is mission-aligned organizations. Examples can include the Savory Institute, Metro Economic Development Council, and because they're working on supporting the Colorado food and beverage industry, and frankly, all of the organizations that are represented in this room. These are groups that we want to partner with, we want to work with, that we want to develop programming with, and that we want to continue the conversation with as buildings come online in the future. Early adopters, again, there's a lot of overlap here, and I would also say that everyone in this room is an early adopter. These are our champions, folks that are in the know, that understand, that support and care about the National Western Center. We had more than, as Grace said, more than 100 participants in our summer of strategy. All of those people and all the people who submitted ideas for the National Western Center in the Cultivate campaign, I would consider early adopters. Those are folks we want to stay in the conversation with and make sure that they have opportunities to engage with us as programming comes online. Colorado producers, We know that reaching our rural audiences will be harder than reaching people close to home. And so we want to begin early and work with CSU and WSSA to reach out to Colorado producers and beyond. We're already starting to talk to producers on the Western Slope, and we're hoping to do a visit to the Western Slope in the fall to talk to producers on the Western Slope and ask them how they envision themselves being a part of the National Western Center, while also sharing kind of our updates with them about what all the exciting things that will be happening here. GES communities, again, lots of overlap with all these groups. We recognize that there are pockets in this zip code that still don't know what's happening here, and we want to make sure that they have a chance to learn about it and engage with the National Western Center as it comes to life. Our partners, including NUCO and CSU and WSSA, have been doing a lot of really valuable outreach to the community. CSU in particular has been standing up all kinds of youth programs, as you all know, and so we just want to help to expand that footprint. And then civic and government leaders, obviously it's really important for our board to be keeping our local and state elected officials and other civic leaders aware of and in support of the National Western Center. So the startup activities that Grace and Matt have envisioned for groups like this, these are kind of, you know, programming light or mini pilot programs. Include convenings and meetups. We'll look for opportunities to get together with the folks in our network, both at the Livestock Exchange building and off-site, to explore programs around the city that are innovative and successful and just keep that conversation going. Co-branded events and sponsorships. We can sponsor a panel at Slow Food Nations and get in front of the kinds of people that might be interested in learning more about the National Western Center and becoming early adopters. And then digital programming. Knowing that we won't have buildings for some time, we're exploring different ways that we could stand up some digital experiences, online experiences, get eyes and ears on the National Western Center brand, help people understand what we're all about, and do all that before we have buildings.
Yeah, your audience, the way I look at that, you say your target audience is driven by the mission. You know, the mission is this for that target. You know, the mission for this audience is driven by the mission. But what I don't see up there, where's the international audience? How are they being addressed up there? I mean, if you notice, the cells are, you know, they talk about Canada and Mexico. You know, we're working on a program ourselves, trying to set up wow, we got a 4-H club, or an urban 4-H club going at Barnabas, as you mentioned earlier in your discussion here. And we're right now in the process of exploring a sister city in Chihuahua, Mexico, so we can help create and funnel that international experience where those kids come back and forth and broaden the experiences, so add to the flavor and the thrust, and make this one, again, an iconic facility where everybody in the world can come and enjoy. I don't see that up there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, and I would put that in the category of mission-aligned organizations. I think we're going to be looking to reach out to international organizations in the ag and food world, and I just think that'll happen before any outreach to international individuals. So we're just hitting the organizations first.
So Andrea mentioned we consider all of you here at the Citizens Advisory Committee part of our early adopters and champions. So in the vein of meetings and meetups, Matt and I wanted to invite you all to join us on a little programming outing. We're imagining organizing sort of regular trips to experience the programs that are already alive and happening around our community in Denver. So we are going to go to the Empathy Museum, which is part of the Biennial of the Americas Festival. It is on the 16th Street Mall, so we'll be there September 11th at 11:30. It's a free participatory exhibit, and anyone who's in here who wants to join Matt and I and a few others from our focus area teams from the summer to come and look at it together. We hope that these experiences will help us grow our skill set, change our perspectives, help us grow together as a team. So again, September 11th, 11:30 a.m., we're going to go to the Empathy Museum downtown. So I told you we had 4 initiatives. The other 3, we are going to contribute to building, continuing to build a food and agriculture innovation ecosystem here at the National Western Center. We are excited to participate in growing young minds through the programming we have on campus. So thinking about early childhood through to young adulthood, how are we creating environmental stewards? How are we creating diverse pathways into food and agriculture careers? And then last but not least, we're thinking about reinventing, reimagining the Colorado food chain. So how can we bridge the urban-rural divide and do that in a bi-directional way? So that we are bringing rural producers here to the campus, we are creating experiences for people in urban settings, out in rural settings, so thinking about agritourism. These 4 initiatives combined are really going to be the magic that make up the programming we will bring to life on campus over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. So the last thing on our agenda tonight is to talk about continued engagement. Matt and I are still working to take in, to listen to analyze, and assess what all the community feedback we received this summer is going to mean for how we evaluate programming opportunities and potential partnerships, and also how we engage the community moving forward. We put up a sketch-level engagement process, which you see on the board here. It has 4 simple stages. We need to source programs and partners, vet them, find a system for approving, and then keep people informed. And with that, we had 3 goals for the process. We wanted it to be simple, so we need to be able to move quickly and take advantage of opportunities, but still get it right. We wanted it to be transparent. It's important that we're clear about our metrics and our methodologies. And last and importantly, we want to be inclusive. So anyone who wants to have a meaningful role in the process can find a way to do so. So we just wanted to share a couple of the high-level themes. As I said, we're still working through all the feedback. One, important for us to have a circular feedback loop. So though it presents it like a linear process on the slide you see here, the informed stage should be happening all the time. We heard that it's important for us to also have an iterative process. This campus is a new kind of beast, and we're going to be discovering things as we go about how we can work best. And so important for us to build in some sense of flexibility as we evolve it moving forward. Important for us to intentionally do outreach upstream of sourcing so that we're getting a diverse set of ideas and applications and proposals. And with that may come some capacity building or technical assistance from the National Western Center to proposers or to organizations, depending on whether they need support to be ready to either apply or bring their programming to life at scale on the campus. And then we're also thinking about how we address both sort of mission-forward programming that we're excited to bring to life, but also knowing that we have an amazing set of bookable spaces, and we're going to be responsible for also programming what we're talking about as sort of revenue-first programs, the ones that help us keep the lights on and feed into the mission-oriented program. So evaluating how we operate with both of those things in the mix. So before I take questions, quick takeaways. We wrapped up our summer of strategy. We have 27 programming recommendations, and we had 132 participants in our meetings over the summer. We organized those recommendations into 4 initiatives, and these are going to come to life with targeted activities in 2020. And last but not least, we are working to meet our 3 goals of simplicity, transparency, and inclusivity in our evaluation and community engagement process. And we're doing that in collaboration with all of you. So with that, what questions do you have?
Anyone have questions, comments, concerns?
There's one in the back side.
We are so fortunate to have, in my opinion, a world-class program like Western Airs Golden, Colorado. And the work that they do with the youth is amazing. I don't know if any of you have ever interacted with that program. It's, you have to be a resident of Jefferson County in order to participate. But having even a microcosm of a program like that here would be phenomenal. And it's basically teaching youth equestrian skills, how to ride. They do precision riding. And I have yet to come across a parent whose kids participated that did not like it. My son did. It changed his life. I encourage you to look into that. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. We are planning to have space on our website as an open call for ideas ongoing, so that anytime somebody has a spark of brilliance about what we can bring to the campus, be that a program you'd love to see happen, or you yourself or a partner you'd like to bring that programming to the campus, there will continue to be a space for that on nationalwesternCenter.com. Matt and I are also excited to have introductory conversations and phone calls with organizations. So maybe we can connect at the end and make sure that we have an opportunity to make sure the Western Heirs group get moved into what's going on campus.
Come.
So just in general, for each of these kind of initiatives and strategies, do you have some sort of metric? Like, you know, you have to have a goal associated with what are you trying to do? Just build awareness with how many people? So how do you then translate these into some sort of measurable result?
That was, thank you for that question. That was an important part of the feedback that we received in our August series of meetings with our focus area teams, for us to have clear metrics about what success looks like for the initiatives, but also for the programs that nest underneath them. So over the course of 2020, a big part of what Matt and I will be working on are designing on a deeper level the strategies that support these programs coming to life. And I think that will include clear metrics and timelines, more specific timelines for bringing them to life. And I should say in answering that question, important to know too, the National Western Center's role, the authority's role, is as a convener and as a catalyzer. So we're hoping to bring in a host of partners who will connect with each other and collaborate to bring these programs to life. It won't be us doing that ourselves.
Just to...
Hold on, Mickey.
Just to kind of talk about Armando's point on the international. Looking at all of this, looking at I've gone through all the groups, etc. There's a little done about international, and I think that's really my original concept in terms of what National Western was about, was really to become a major player in the international stage, to bring in not only the locals and the local people, but really to have an influence on the whole environment. I mean, we're living in an era where climate change is such a critical element. I don't see the word up there anywhere. And I think that we ought to, just as I talked about iconic buildings, I think this should be an iconic institution that really changes the world. And I don't see that. I see it as a great community kind of asset, but not something that really is going to have a major influence in terms of people all over the world thinking and being able to use this as a resource to make their lives better.
I think if we are successful in living out the mission of the National Western Center, we can only do that by reaching a global audience and making a real difference at an international level around food solutions. So one of the things we'll share that might add a little bit more meat to the bones of the little boxes you see up here are the sort of detailed descriptions at this stage of all the programs that sit underneath the initiatives. That's a piece of the puzzle that might help connect the dots between what you see here and some of these bigger issues or larger audiences that you're pointing to. We're also conscious as a team, in the same way that Andrea acknowledged outreach to rural being harder than folks living in Denver. Global audiences are yet another level of challenge. And it's a challenge we're excited about and ready to accept, but we know that we're not there yet. So I suppose what I'm saying is a commitment to making it happen, because it's our job to make sure the mission is successful here, but it's going to be growing into it over time.
But you know, part of this is really a vision. And I don't see it as part of the vision. I mean, it may have its sequence and timing, but it's not even part of what I see as a vision up there. And I haven't seen it really in the group meetings as really the part of that vision, really making a big difference in the world.
Thank you so much.
If I could, Nikki, I think you make a really good point, and we all together are working through how we're going to, if you're successful and you're able to implement locally, then you can move to global. A lot of the words that we use talk about local to global, and this being a global destination for people. We just have to have a plan that gets us there so that we can scale up. And you're absolutely right. It's something that we've talked about throughout this process in these meetings all the time when we're talking about mission and vision. And, you know, our mission and vision is about how are we going to feed the world, you know, how are we going to feed 8 or 9 billion people. So I think it's there. It's just a matter of planning well and getting there successfully. So message heard, definitely.
Are there any other questions, or is the presentation over? Sorry, I stepped out for a minute.
We're good. Yeah, presentation over. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Wow, I don't know what to do. It's like...
We're on the Tychus.
We're on the Tychus. I'm just looking at my watch. I'm like, what happened here? Tychus.
Let's just keep moving.
Yeah, man, need to hold things up, keep it rolling.
I like to note this moment in history. This is Tychus' first presentation in his new role as Executive Director of NUCO. This will go down in our time capsule of the National Western Center. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to put it in the time capsule in that same place where there's, don't we have like a marker that we really can't find in terms of that lays out the boundary lines of the National Western Center? There's like this old marker that's listed in the history books that no one knows where it is.
Oh, yeah, there was something like that. Yeah, I'm starting to remember that. Yeah.
So when we were doing the surveying for the property lines, when we were doing the master plan, I think Kai knows about this. There's listed in the property record somewhere a marker that rock or something that lays out one of the boundaries of the National Western complex, and no one can find where it is.
So with that, Tychus, you're the marker.
Yeah, you're the marker. But we found you. And we're happy about that.
Perfect. I can't wait to get into the capsule, right? Well, good evening, everyone. So as Terrence mentioned, I'm Tychus Holloway, the incoming Executive Director of the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center. I did a brief intro and had to run last month. And just really quickly, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and then jump to the presentation. It's not about me, it's really about you and the community. But I'm from Denver, born and raised, graduated of Montville High School. Went to Colorado State University, civil engineering degree there. Have worked in both public and private sector, large firms, small firms, MWBE. And so I'm here, glad to be with you all and with the team. I know the team has been giving you great updates every month, and you know our portion of the campus is really to build it. We don't have a lot of updates this evening, but I did want to give you a little bit of a look ahead before I jump into the presentation. So in the coming months, we will give you some updates on the Betty Crown design and Stockyard Event Center will be coming here on the design side, and then the Riverfront update probably in October, and then main campus plaza we're anticipating November, December. So we want to have you with a look ahead for some of those items. So I know every month we kind of provide the site plan just for orientation purposes. We always come back to this if there's questions about specific things, how they relate to other parts of the campus. So on the build it side, we're getting really close to issuing our last procurements, and you'll start to see a lot of construction happening over the next year and into the coming years. So we're really excited about that. I'm not sure what color. So green, they're green on there, okay. So the green ones are the ones that are really in procurement right now, so active procurements. The Equestrian Center and Parking Garage, we've selected a contractor for that, and we anticipated going through the council approval process in September, so look out for that. And then also Campus District Energy, Liz spoke to that a little bit. That's currently in an active negotiation, so we call that an active procurement. And then the Livestock Center, we've got two parts to it. We've got a design phase and a construction phase. The design phase, we actually were holding interviews today with some of the shortlisted design firms, and then hoping to have the construction phase, someone selected, or at least the procurement started in the fall of this year with a selection later this year, if not early next year. So really looking forward to that. On the note of construction, so this slide, I think Marcy normally will give you an update on this. I'll just breeze through it. We've got 4 sites that have active demolition on them, and on the left side of the screen, you'll see the ones associated with CSU's parcel and what they're building, and then also the equestrian center, and then on the right side, the demos associated with the old DPS bus barn. There will be periodic lane closures associated with that, and Marcy has more details on that so that we're real communicated with the community on what those look like and when they are occurring. This slide is just providing, again, the continued example of a lot of the things that you're seeing on the site associated with demolition. And so the team has been doing really well with reusing a lot of the concrete and asphalt, so crushing it up really fine, and a lot of various projects around the Denver area are utilizing them. We've got about 20,000 cubic yards that have been reused thus far. Marcy and I talked about some sort of either graphic or equivalent of what that means. It's kind of hard to grasp what 20,000 cubic yards is, so look forward to that in the future of some trivia facts associated with it. As you all know, the rail lines are one of the key things that we're relocating on the campus, in addition to undergrounding some of the major utilities, which will help us open up the riverfront, which is a key aspect of the campus and the vision that we have. So this is the start of some of the construction that started in early August, and now you can already start to see some of the wall footer that will help where the wall will help separate where the relocated rail will go to the east of the campus. So another thing that we're really excited about, making great progress here. The site plan is on there to get you oriented towards it. It's upside down. So you can tell me more about that later. And then also just consistent with some of the conversation I think this evening, you know, part of the goal here is renew and regenerate, and so I'd like to remind folks around the low carbon, that's a diagram. I feel like I'm on it, pretty hungry. Low carbon in the city campus, so 4 key elements. You have the energy efficient buildings, so looking for those LEED Gold and beyond. District thermal, using wastewater heat recovery that Liz spoke a little about before with the Delgany, and then renewable energy, so that's on and off site for the campus, and then community resiliency, and in this sense is so that we continue to have power during extreme events. And then we do have a small update on the Triangle side, and we've got Patrick O'Keefe here that will give you a little bit of a preview of what we're looking at there.
Hi, everyone. Not much change from last month. We had kind of an impromptu status on where the Triangle is. You can kind of see that kind of where we are right now in the post shortlisted announced teams. There's 2 teams. They're quite extensive, as you'd expect, because they're building everything from arenas to doing civil work to the 1909 restoration. We are in the process of pulling together a draft RFP. As talked a little bit about last month, this draft RFP will be issued kind of mid-autumn, true seasonal calendar. That's kind of early November if you do that. The way this process will work is a draft RFP goes out to the bidders, and we hold one-on-ones with each of the teams and talk to other stakeholders and try to integrate that process and iterate to a next RFP, which is also draft, and then have another set of one-on-ones and engagement with council, community, other stakeholders on the site, and work toward a final RFP that will be issued kind of late spring. That RFP is binding to the city and the development parties. So it's a good process, and it allows you to kind of take feedback along the way. You're not bound to a single initial RFP. When you get to the end, they are essentially bidding a contract, and we would expect having an award of that kind of late summer. It goes to council for approval, ideally, kind of again mid-autumn, which you can take to mean November, and then there would be contract close in December, and ideally they would be able to start work on future phases of the project early that next year. So if you kind of think of phases 1 and 2 and then 3 through 8, this mechanism allows us to really start on 3 through 8, ideally in early 21 with some of the facilities.
And with that, that's our update to the CAC. Questions?
Liliana, then AE, and Susan. We'll go in that order.
It's for Patrick on the Triangle front. Do you have any more information or detail on what the community outreach process might look like, or timelines for that, for feedback, the feedback loops on the draft?
We don't. We're working with Diane Barrett, who's the acting head of PBI, and Dito, and then we have some initial meetings with council. So we hope to take all that and come up with a plan that works for everyone. So and continue talking to the authorities. So there's no prejudged plan. Actually, we want to talk to the new council members and understand what's important to them, and the old council members, the existing the longer-term council members, and try to build together a plan. But there's not one set yet.
Okay. Would you be open to feedback from CAC in developing or giving input on what that process could look like?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, thank you, Tychus. So first, before I ask my question, I'm looking forward to the trivia games. This has to do with the cement recycling at the Water on the Rocks Bar and Restaurant opening on the campus soon.
Got it.
I also, with that being the case, and any other trivia, I would like to elevate that data as part of what we're repurposing as part of the legacy of this project. That is the project's response to the commitment of net zero, of reclamation of materials. I'd like to see not just a graphic for the trivia game at the Water on the Rocks Bar and Restaurant. I would like to see a whole report out how from the very beginning the goal has been to test materials, make sure they're safe, reuse them, and what the impact is of the net savings of materials across the city, because that is part of what this is. If we want to talk about setting an example, scaling it up to national, international, and interstellar. And I want to couple that, Marcy, with some of the conversations we've had, where you are, I'm just glad to hear, collecting archival video of a variety of things. When somebody reported out a design conversation, a conversation here with one of the design groups, and I had mentioned that I at one time in my life viewed the videotape of the competition for the public library in Chicago between the architects, and it was phenomenal. And these types of conversations are part of the legacy of this, and really incredibly helpful to people from all the professions that are in arenas and members of communities going forward, or anywhere that wants to do something like this. So anyway, those two couplings, the coupling of those two things, I think, but I would love to see a whole profile of the net materials use, the impact, the economics around it, and the environmental retrieval, and how the safeties were assured, and all that. So I just hope to see, I think it would be very gratifying to see that.
Yeah, we got it.
Susan. Was it Susan? Yeah, I think it was Susan.
Thanks. I just can't let the opportunity pass to once more say we really want to see strong community benefit and workforce components in the RFP.
Anyone else? All right. Thanks, Tychus. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
I think we're about done unless anyone has any public comment or any other community reports. Susan.
I thought Paul was going to go through the scholarship.
Yes, I did do a handout, and so let's just go through that real quickly. Yes, thank you, Susan. I forgot about that myself.
Thank you, Susan.
Anyway, the Denver Scholarship Program was launched about a month ago, and 4 recipients won it this year. We plan on doing 5 every year, but in this case, we only had 4 that qualified. So rather than just giving out $2,000 to each of them, we bumped it to $2,500. So those 4 students were named. Their pictures are on our website right now, and we will follow them through all 4 years of their college. So that means that right now we're at $505,000 that we're giving out to scholarship students across the world of agriculture and other higher studies. 3 years from now, since we're following these students and the ones after them, we will be at least at $540,000 a year. So more than $500,000 a year will be going out through scholarships. This particular scholarship, as you all can read through here, is geared towards only Denver. So you have to be in a high school currently in the city and county of Denver, and you have to go to a college either in Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, or Kansas to qualify for this scholarship. And so, and the reason those 4 states were chosen, in case you're wondering, is because those are the 4 states that predominantly exhibit at the National Western Stock Show every year. Those are the most represented states. So we're very excited to be doing this. We really did it as a thank you to Denver for their support on ballot measure 2C. And I think this will grow over time. I know right now we're giving out $10,000 a year to these students, but I think we'll be able to grow that over time if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly here. So, anyway, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Any questions? Thank you. Are there is there any other public comment? No.
I think there was one.
Liliana had her hand up as well. Oh, over here as well. Okay. Then we'll go to Liliana.
Hi, I didn't introduce myself at the beginning of the meeting, but my name is Diana Penny-Kresh. I am a resident of Denver. And about 2 years ago, I was recruited by Armando. He's MIA right now. But he got me involved on a really exciting project in Globeville. And it's the wind turbines project at Garden Place Academy. And it's amazing that it's a project that's not completed. And it really poses a lot of opportunity to really put your project on the map. And you have a project that's already about 50% complete. You just have to finish it up. And the impact could really be amazing. And so I've already spoken to a lot of you. I'm looking for funding. I'm certified in project management. I want to finish this project. No, let me reiterate. I will finish this project somehow, some way, because the community deserves it, the students deserve it, we all deserve it. It's a really forward-thinking project that could really pose some opportunities for us locally, statewide, and internationally. Think about it. If you have any questions, if you would like to see a copy of the proposal that we have prepared for this project, let me know. You can contact me through Armando. But thank you very much, and keep up the great work that you're doing.
Thank you. Anyone else? Liliana.
Paul, I just have a follow-up. When is the next round of applications open?
For the scholarship fund?
Scholarship, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, so we're working with the specialists in Denver Public Schools to guide us, but I think it will be in November, and then it will be open until February. So I think they're planning on November to February, and they're going to work with all the high schools this year. I mean, we're going to get thousands of applicants this year, there's no doubt. So.
AE.
Yeah, AE.
For the scholarships.
With the clean shirt.
Is there any way that the scholarships that were passed, I can't remember the name of that, who remembers the name of the initiative, 3A was it, that are for people that are...
Ballot measure 2C, right?
Well, no, 2C was long, oh, that's right, because it was so confusing that it was in 2C again. The scholarships where you have to have lived in Denver as a resident for 36 months, something like that. I just feel like that is another way of sort of, it's like a force multiplier of concentrating on the interior Denver population, and that was part of why I frankly really supported it. I felt like it was very complimentary to what the stock show was doing, and when you talk to the specialists, I think there's a real, just the question how to engage with it, that Liliana just asked the timing. If there was, we could power up the outreach on that, because I bet you would get, I know you're going to get a lot of applications and everything, but that's okay too. But anyway, it just helps see the big total, the gross amount is great.
Yeah, I think we have engaged them. I just can't remember the name of their program either, but the people that are on the board that are making those selections do know that, so yes, but good idea.
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Seeing none, I hereby, this is my best Speaker of the House voice. I hereby adjourn this meeting of the National Western Stock Show Citizen Advisory Committee. Sini dia.
Way to go, gavel. Way to go, gavel.
I know, they took my gavel away from me after I left office.